So let's talk Disney and The Little Mermaid. Next up on Just the Talk. So let's talk about it. And welcome to the Flicks Picks and the Nitpicks. And I am your humble host, Nove718. And we are going to get into this talk for Disney and The Little Mermaid movie. And I know there was a lot of controversy on who would play Ariel, and we have our Ariel. The movie is officially shot, if I'm not mistaken. It's wrapped already. I really, in the beginning, was like, I don't know how I feel about race swapping Ariel. She's supposed to be pretty much a white, ginger young lady, 16, if I'm not mistaken, or 15-ish, something like that. And in the Caribbean, obviously, we know that in the colonies. And for me, if you already know me, I like things to be as close to the source as possible. So for me, I was just like, would you go that route? I mean, if you wanted to keep it very stylized, I would keep her more traditional. Now, if we want to kind of go into a more realistic realm, in the Caribbean, why not a black young lady? Now, you could argue if you're in the water, like, how would you get sun-kissed? Which would be very true. I would buy into the locks a little bit easier, because that makes a little bit more sense if you're underwater all the time. Again, this being sun-kissed underwater, you'd have to try to explain that to me, because where would her melanin come from? If you want to go sci-fi, do you really need to even consider that in this? No, not really. They take place back in a different time, so I don't really think you need to try to hyper explain it. You could just say, hey, this is our Little Mermaid, let's go there. I'm still cool with it. They're supposed to be, I think it makes more sense that she would be black and have locks, uniform locks, because it would lean into her being a lot more different to what this colonial white young gentleman sees. Because remember, he finds her washed up on, you know what I mean? It would make more sense if we want to play that game. Now, if you want to go back in that time when she gets her legs, how could she just walk around being black with locks without them trying to lynch her? Yeah, you could fall into those type of categorical issues. You know what I mean? I think you could upplay the fact that she looks more exotic and the fact that she's of a lighter complexion. And if you want to also play into her being a black ginger, which would probably make more sense. Arguably so, if they're different races of mermaids underwater, then her being black wouldn't make any difference. Now, if you're making her biracial, because I would have gotten Jason Momoa to play the father and just gave him gray hair, and then had the mother be like a Lisa Bonet type chick with locks. How about that, right? I mean, that would have been very convenient. But no bullshit, and pun intended, but pun not intended, to be real, that would have been the direction I would have went with the parents. Because if I'm not mistaken, I forget, it's a white gentleman is playing her father. Hold on a second, let me find out. Yeah, Javier Bardem is playing King Triton. So clearly, this is going to be a biracial Ariel. And again, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to cry a river. Should it have been a black father? I mean, why not? But I think that if we're going for the characters, this could actually work, because she could pass for a biracial child. So I let that fly, even though she's not. Javier Bardem would look a lot more closer to King Titus as it were in the animated series, animated movie. Even though if you had King Triton, excuse me, even though Jason Momoa would look a lot more like him, but we would have to age him up. So I'm okay with that. I think like the first time him seeing her waking up, seeing this real like beautiful, exotic looking sister, especially if they make sure she's a ginger and don't overly red her hair to look fake. Make it a black ginger, like a copper, long locks. She's a real pretty little girl with a nice smile like that. Because if you remember Ariel, they drew her with very expressionative faces. Her eyes were something that stood out. Same thing with this little girl. This little girl could really sing. She really could sing. And she could play. This, like, you don't have to fake it with her. And I don't know if she can act. That's the only thing I don't know. But you have a lot working more in favor of her casting than not. Like, she could do the acapella scene. She could play with the voices. And plus also, she has this... Because she's a grown woman. Let's be honest with you. Halle Bailey's a grown woman. I think she's like 23. But she is... Wait a second. Let me make sure I know. I get her age right. I do believe she's 23. She's 22. I didn't realize they were from Atlanta, Georgia. How about that? She's 22. Oh, she had a birthday just past 2 on March 27th. But anyways, yeah. So she's 22 and she could still play. She has a very youthful face. She can legit play a 16-year-old. And that's why I thought it was ingenious. She has a very, like, that's why I keep saying little girl. Like, because she has a very youthful face. A very youthful face. And she could play to that. And then with the expressions and stuff like that, like the innocence, she could do that. That's what I'm saying. That's what could really work for her. And that's what you're going to need for the naivete to play out for her. Because they're going to be extreme scenes of naivete that I wonder if this little girl could play out. Especially because she has the face to get away with it. She can play up the 16-year-old. It's like her and Zendaya. Zendaya is a grown woman. Like, how old is Zendaya? I think she might be actually 25. Let me see. Yeah, Zendaya is 25. And at the end of the day, you could play up her, like, play down her when she's young, like when she's playing younger characters like MJ in high school still. She could play herself down to that age. And then when she's ready, hit the Met Gala and play herself way up. That's what I'm saying. Like, same thing with Halle Bailey. Don't get me wrong. When she wants to let you know she's a grown-ass woman, sis will let you know she's a grown-ass woman. But her youthful face can allow her to play down that kind of character, that little girl you're going to need from that's seeing this whole new world, in terms of being on the surface that she's never experienced before. Meeting Ursula and getting played out like that by an older woman. Because remember, she's technically, I think, even in Little Mermaid, the prince is actually a grown man. Whoa, he might have been. Yo, that's funny. I'm thinking about it. And when I say a grown man, I think he was like at least around 18 to 21 age. Yeah. Because I think people always say that Ariel was like 16. Or maybe 16 or 18, but I think she made more sense at 16 the way the king was treating her. Wow. But I don't know. Well, let's say they're not trying to play it that way. like I said, the naivete of the Little Mermaid is what you're gonna really, the youthfulness that's gonna be what you're gonna want to play into. And I think that can actually work well for what they're trying to depict. So to me, that's why I think the casting is kind of genius in terms of it being Ariel. You know what I mean? And the singing is going to be top tier because the girl could really sing. Halle Baily can really sing. So now, looking over on the cast, not exactly sure. Ursula, okay, I see why you would go get what's her name? And it seemed atypical. It did seem atypical looking at it too when I seen Ursula. Let me pull it up. Yeah, Melissa McCarthy plays Ursula. Ursula. Jacob Tremblay, I'm familiar with his name. I can't really think of his work, but he plays Flounder. He kind of looks like Flounder in the face, but I'll go with it. Scuttle, I'm trying to remember who Scuttle was right now. I know he was like the smaller, was he a smaller fish? I can't remember. Let me see who Scuttle was, because I can't remember. I haven't watched Little Mermaid and since for years. The bird? Did you really need to change the sex of the bird? I'd rather that. Did you? I guess that they needed to do that, but I don't know why they needed to do that. Cause I don't know. I think it almost feels like it changes up the nature of the character. But it's not that serious because he wasn't that vital. But yeah, I don't know why they needed to do that. But needless to say, the other people are interesting choices. I don't know why they chose Awkwafina when you look at Scuttle and say, let's go with Awkwafina unless you're really trying harder than you need to diversify your characters. Because again, I don't know what made you think of Awkwafina for Scuttle, but I mean, even if you had to get a female, I would have really thought of, I know Betty White passed, but I would have went with Betty White before I would have ever went with Awkwafina. That's why I don't know what are they thinking of doing with Awkwafina with this character. You know what I mean? And then Daveed Diggs as Sebastian. I don't. Is he a Yardie? Is he Jamaican? Or who's gonna pull that Caribbean accent? Is he gonna do it? Is he Caribbean? I don't know who he is. So I hope he could get away with it. Because for all of that, you might as well have gotten a West Indian person, comedian, or someone that could pull it off real well. So I hope he could pull it off real well. But I would have probably went that direction. I know if they would have tried, they probably would have got some Caribbean singer or something like that. I'd have been like, oh, why are you doing that? Or got Busta Rhymes or something. I'd have been like, please don't. I like Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes should be an animated character, but not Sebastian. You need like an older West Indian man that can get away with it. You know what I'm saying? And whoever played Sebastian the first time, like if we couldn't find him, we couldn't find him. But needless to say, I do think that they have a very, just alone taking Halle Baily, even though I'm not a fan of race swapping characters, as soon as I looked at it, I was like, it took me a second, but I was like, yo, I think this might have been genius. Now, in terms of Eric, I have no clue who this guy is. Harry Styles might have been a better look. This guy looks I don't know. Like, who is this guy? I don't know. I don't know who this guy is, so I'm not gonna go out of my way and knock it. Evidently, there seems to be some scenes. So we'll definitely talk a little bit about that. But in terms of just off the top, what I think of, I mean, I don't know who this guy that's playing Eric. Eric looks kind of way old. We already came across this, so I guess maybe they're going more in line with what they need to, but he is older than her. I don't know about his look till we see it like in camera. I don't know his acting. He doesn't exactly look like Eric, if you ask me, for the animated movie. But we shall see what they decide to do. I mean, like I said, Melissa McCarthy as Ursula is kind of like a very typical, so I'm not up or down on it. You know, I don't think she's a horrible actress. She just needs to be in proper roles. This might be it for her. Like, this might actually really work. I hope she could play a villainess very well. I don't know which direction they're going with. Me, personally, I would have went the direction of Splash. Little Mermaid meets Splash. That's what I would have did. A Splash Little Mermaid. And did it directly like that. Kind of like how they did Popeye, where they didn't try to make it extra cartoony. They really was like, it was almost creepy how they made his forearms, but they just said, this is how he looks, and we're just going with it. Singing and all. That's what I would have did with The Little Mermaid. I would have did that with The Little Mermaid. It'd have been very straight to form. But again, like I said, this is just what I think. You guys, let me know what you think. Are you excited for it? How do you feel about the casting of Halle Baily? We're definitely going to have a lot more discussions on this, man. I mean, like I said, man, this is a classic. So I know everybody's going to want to talk about it until they drop the first trailer. So I think this is going to be dope to really catch up on, because, like I said, Halle Baily, to me, was genius casting, because she could actually do all the covers of all the songs on her own without having any worries. Now, it's all about making sure that you have a person that can sing opposite her, that can at least be, doesn't have to be recording studio level good, but Broadway singing, Broadway performance good. Or at least train them to that, so they could actually legitimately sing their actual roles out without having to have him lip sync to somebody else's vocals. That's why maybe Harry Styles might have been a big loss, because he could at least sing his own parts and do it and do the duet scenes very well between the two. But we shall see. So far, I'm looking at the cast. I am interested, because I'm not sure. A lot of the motherfuckers, I don't know who they are, except for Awkwafina. And I like Awkwafina. I'm just not exactly sure where we're going with Scuttle, because I think Scuttle, you could have had an older comedian. Even if you had to go skew female, I would have had like an older female comedian. You know what I mean? Or someone that, you know what? I would have even went with fucking the mother from Seinfeld, George Costanza's mother. That would have made more sense if you want to skew female. I would have went older, could make her more forgettable. Like, because if I'm not mistaken, that's what it was. Scuttle forgot a lot of shit too, and he was kind of like, oh, this is a combing apparatus, you know, like, and all that dumb shit. And that's not what it was. It was a fork, bro. Like some shit like that. I think that's how it went in the series. In the movie. So I would have went with that. I don't know why Aquafina. So it just seems like now you're trying to be typical. Because Aquafina would make sense if you're trying to be typical. You know, we're trying to cover all our checks and like I would have went with, I don't know. Like I said, I would have just went with someone else. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm kind of curious the direction they want to go with Scuttle. You know, Flounder, I'm not familiar with his work like that, but I know his name very well. So it's just funny that I know his name, but he kind of looks like it in the picture. Look like he could play Flounder, so I'll go with that. Sebastian, I'm still not exactly sure who the hell he is. So I don't know where the Jamaican accent is going to come from or the Caribbean accent is going to come from. So unless he's really Caribbean and I don't know, or he could pass it off, I'm kind of really... See, this is where you're going to have to be careful. Because you got to... It's almost like Will Smith taking on the genie. Sebastian is a big character that you're really going to have to really know how to do him well. And I'm real curious to see the CG on it. They're going to go cartoony or they're going to try to keep it realistic. And if you do, how are you going to make Sebastian work if he's a real crab? That's going to be very interesting. So, again, I mean, this is going to be, like I said, I went more splash with it. So, if I would have used Sebastian would not have said anything. He would have just, it is what it is. They're underwater. Even if he came topside, he would have been more of a meme. He would have more memed himself out than actually spoke. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have been hard to explain how this crab is talking to her unless it's in her mind. I like that'd have been the only other way. Otherwise, I would have kept Sebastian out, or Sebastian, if it would have been a character, he wouldn't have really spoken. He would have just, if anything, he would have acted out like he understood. And that's the direction I would have went. But again, that's something that I'm really curious how they're gonna play out. Like her talking to the fish is gonna be interesting because the fish can't really pop himself up. It's gonna be interesting the direction of they go with that, with the bird and all of that. Again, like I said, it's gonna be real interesting how they're gonna play the talking animals out, because you're either gonna go full on Lion King with it, or you're going to have to do something different. The fact that you have voice actors, I think you're going the way of Lion King, which I'm not mad at. It's just going to be how you're going to play it. Or you're going to make it like it's in her mind and she's just talking to him in her mind like that, but they're acting it out, or they're legitimately talking to her. And again, I'm not mad at either or. I just want to know the vibe you're going to go with. And that's why I'm real curious to see the trailer. And it's funny, I'm just now looking online, seeing some stills, so we're definitely going to talk a lot more about this. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited? Have you even seen some of the still shots from the behind the scenes filming? Leave it all in the comments below, and like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, so I have a better outro. Chill.